talk English.
I'm broke. She's loaded. Let's split this. Can you Venmo me? Money talk in American English is everywhere.
Oh, it really is. I mean, you basically can't get through a day without hearing at least one of those.
Right. And usually when we talk about cultural fluency or, learning a language, we focus on grammar or basic etiquette.
Yeah.
But we completely ignore the underlying current running beneath almost every interaction, which is money.
Right, because if you can't decode the financial vocabulary of a culture, you're missing the actual mechanics of how that society operates.
Exactly. And that is exactly our mission for you today. We are doing a deep dive into a really fascinating stack of sources that break down American English money vocabulary.
Because money in the United States, it's rarely just about math.
No, not at all.
It acts as a proxy for moral judgment, social standing, and personal discipline. So the vocabulary we use to describe our financial state reveals a deeply ingrained set of national values.
Yeah, values about independence and success. So think of this as your shortcut to becoming really well-informed on how to decode these hidden meanings. Because the sheer volume of ways Americans talk about finances without ever just saying a blunt number, it's staggering.
It's like an entirely separate dialect. And to grasp the nuances, I think we have to start at the extremes, right? The cultural weight of having money versus not having it.
Let's start with the having money side, because you rarely hear an American just flat out say, I am currently wealthy.
Right, it's almost too formal.
Yeah, it's weird. Instead, the language leans on really evocative imagery. Like you'll hear someone say, oh, she's loaded.
Load is a great one. Or they might say someone is rolling in it.
Rolling in it, yeah. And if someone lands a huge contract or a great job, they aren't just earning a high salary, they are making bank.
Making bank. But, notice the subtle distinctions in timing there.
What do you mean?
Well, a term like loaded carries the implication of permanent wealth, right? It implies a structural advantage. You are always loaded. But the language also have to accommodate temporary windfalls.
Oh, like if you just got a bonus.
Exactly. If you got a bonus, you wouldn't call yourself loaded. You would say, I'm flush this week.
I'm flush, yes, which feels amazing, but it implies the money might run out.
Right. And then you have the quieter, more insulated terms, describing someone as well off or comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable is such a subtle flex.
It really is. And if you say someone is set, like she's set for life, that's the ultimate cultural aspiration. It means they've completely insulated themselves from economic anxiety.
They never have to worry again. But contrast that with the vocabulary of scarcity, the not having money side.
Which is a very different vibe.
Totally. We move from being comfortable down to being broke. Or the more intense version, flat broke.
Flat broke, yeah. And we see that same division between temporary and permanent states here, too.
Right. Like, I might tell a friend I can't go to dinner because I'm strapped this week.
Which just means a temporary cash flow issue. You're strapped.
Yeah.
Or you might say things are tight.
Things are tight, so I'm pinching pennies.
Pinching pennies, exactly.
It's like reading a car's gas tank. Being flush is when you just filled up and the needle is on F and you feel invincible.
Yeah.
But being strapped or tight, that's when the little fuel light starts blinking on the dashboard. You're sweating, looking for a gas station.
That's a great analogy. It's stressful, but it's temporary.
Yeah.
But we need to push that analogy further to understand the most critical phrase in our sources, which is living paycheck to paycheck.
Right. That's a heavy one.
It is. If being strapped is the fuel light blinking, living paycheck to paycheck is driving down the highway with a completely broken fuel gauge.
Wow.
You never actually know if you have enough gas to make it, and you definitely can't afford a tow truck if you stall out.
Yeah.
It implies a structural trap where every single dollar is exhausted before the next payday arrives.
So there's just zero margin for error.
Zero. And the psychological toll of that phrase is immense. Millions of people exist in this state where just one unexpected variable, a medical bill, a flat tire, causes total financial collapse.
It's just a background hum of panic, but, money doesn't just sit statically in an account. It interacts with other people.
Yes, the social choreography.
Exactly. How we navigate being flush or being broke in public reveals a really complex dance, especially when a bill arrives at a restaurant.
Oh, a high-stakes performance of status begins immediately.
It does. You see groups negotiating these invisible lines. They might split the check, right? Just divide it evenly.
Or they might go Dutch, which means everyone pays for exactly their own share.
Going Dutch, right. But then you have the power moves, someone stepping in to say, hey, I'll cover this one.
Or pick up the tab.
Yeah, let me treat. It's on me.
Yeah.
Or even offering a tiny safety net like, I'll spot you $20.
Spotting someone, yeah. But what's fascinating is how these physical transactions have completely morphed over the last decade.
Oh, because of the apps.
Exactly. The digitization of the choreography.
We all do it without thinking. We just say, Venmo me, Cash App me.
Just Zelle me.
Yeah. But stepping back, it's kind of dystopian, isn't it? We've let corporate brand names literally replace our verbs.
Totally normalized now.
We don't say transfer the funds, we just use a tech trademark as an action. It's like saying, I'll Kleenex my nose, but for our bank accounts.
Well, the dystopian element you're sensing is actually a testament to what American culture prioritizes above almost anything else, which is frictionless convenience.
Right. Speed over everything.
Yeah. I mean, paying someone back used to have friction. You needed exact change, or you had to awkwardly remind a friend they owed you cash. Now, it takes 3 seconds. The fact that Venmo me became a socially understood sentence so quickly proves we will gladly trade linguistic independence for convenience.
But that urgency to settle up, it feels driven by something much deeper. Like, why do Americans have this highly specific, frantic vocabulary for paying each other?
Well, our sources suggest that to really understand this slang, you have to look at the 5 core cultural values driving it. The slang is just a symptom.
Okay, let's break these down. Value number 1 is the hustle.
Right. The idea that hard work directly and inevitably equals financial reward.
Which is a very American concept.
It is. It's the modern mutation of the Protestant work ethic. And it creates a somewhat controversial assumption that if you lack money, it implies you lack effort.
Which is harsh, but it feeds directly into the second value, which is wealth is status.
Yes. In some cultures, old money is revered, and talking about being self-made is tacky. But in America, visibly displaying self-made wealth is the ultimate victory.
You have to show it off to prove you hustled, which naturally leads to value number 3. Spending is freedom.
Consumerism is deeply tied to the American identity. The American dream isn't just an abstract concept. You basically purchase your way into it with a house, a car.
A giant TV. But to buy all that, you usually need capital you don't actually have. Which brings us to value 4, the normalization of debt.
Unlike societies where owing money is a hidden shame, American adulthood is practically defined by managing debt, mortgages, student loans, credit cards. They aren't moral failures, they're just standard operating procedures.
Okay, so we have hustle, wealth as status, spending as freedom, and debt as normal. But then we hit the 5th value, which is that money talk is semi-taboo.
Right, especially at work.
And this is where I see a massive contradiction. We just established that displaying wealth is celebrated, and we use apps to broadcast our transactions. But at the same time, it is a huge taboo to ask a coworker their exact salary.
Oh, you never asked that.
Never. Yet anybody can sit at a dinner table and loudly, shamelessly announce, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
How do those two behaviors exist in the same culture?
It seems paradoxical until you view it through the lens of personal boundaries. Saying, I can't afford to go on that trip isn't an admission of defeat. It's an assertion of independence.
Oh, like you're taking ownership of your situation.
Exactly. It's a practical, honest boundary. But asking someone else their salary, that crosses a line. Because of the hustle mentality, where money equals worth asking for a specific number isn't just gathering data.
You're interrogating their status.
Exactly. You are forcing them to put a hard numeric value on their personal success.
Ah, so announcing I can't afford it protects my independence, but asking your salary threatens yours.
Precisely. And this intense psychological pressure to constantly manage status, it actually forces a kind of split personality in casual speech.
Which totally explains the corporate bleed over. Because of this pressure, Americans inevitably start treating their personal lives like corporate balance sheets.
Yes, the vocabulary of the boardroom completely colonizes the living room.
It's everywhere once you listen for it. We tell our friends to invest in yourself.
Like taking a cooking class is a financial investment.
Right. Or we talk about the ROI, the return on investment of human relationships. Like, what is the ROI on this friendship? I text them all the time and get nothing back.
We use it so ironically, but it's telling. Or consider sunk cost. In economics, a sunk cost is unrecoverable money that shouldn't dictate future strategy. But people apply it to their emotions now.
Oh, totally. Like, I've been in this awful relationship for 3 years, but if I leave, those 3 years are a sunk cost.
Exactly. We talk about budgeting our emotional energy. We splurge on a dessert.
Or we try to ball on a budget, which is projecting luxury without actually having the capital.
Ball on a budget is such a great phrase.
But navigating all this requires really precise vocabulary, and there's a specific distinction that often trips up learners, but it's deeply tied to these values.
The difference between frugal and cheap.
Yes, frugal versus cheap. They both technically mean you aren't spending money, but the cultural judgment is entirely different.
It's a vital distinction because it comes down to the social contract. Frugal is positive, it's strategic.
Right, being frugal is meal prepping your lunches for a week so you can afford an amazing dinner on Saturday.
You're sacrificing comfort for a long-term goal.
But being cheap is an insult. Being cheap is refusing to chip in $5 for a coworker's retirement gift when everyone knows you just got a promotion.
Exactly, because cheapness is hoarding resources when the social choreography expects you to participate, especially when people know you have disposable income.
Which is another sterile corporate term for the money left over after your bills are paid.
Or when you have a high net worth, meaning your total assets minus your liabilities.
And constantly monitoring those liabilities leads to some incredibly vivid financial stress phrases.
When the balance sheet tilts the wrong way, the language becomes almost physical.
Yeah.
People don't just say they owe a lot of money, they say they are underwater.
Underwater on their mortgage, yeah. Or drowning in debt.
Always the water metaphors. It captures that sensation of suffocating under obligations.
Or they use strict accounting terms, right? Describing themselves as being in the red, which means their accounts are negative.
Versus being in the black, which means you're profitable.
And people talk about the exhausting daily grind of trying to make ends meet, just physically trying to stretch the income to cover the bills.
While trying to build a rainy day fund for emergencies.
Right. But the cruelest part of this whole corporate mindset is that even when you win the game, even when you make bank, the culture still has a stress phrase waiting, Colonel.
Ah, golden handcuffs.
Golden handcuffs. It's such a heavy concept.
It reveals the dark side of the wealth is status value. It describes being trapped in a job you absolutely hate, but the salary or the benefits are so luxurious that you feel mathematically incapable of quitting.
The wealth literally becomes a prison.
It perfectly illustrates how financial metrics can completely override your personal happiness.
It sounds utterly exhausting. You're either drowning in debt or wearing golden handcuffs. There's no winning.
Which is exactly why younger demographics are rebelling.
Yes, the generational shift. Millennials and Gen Z are actively inventing new vocabulary to reject this deeply stressful hustle culture.
The language is shifting rapidly. You see the rise of phrases like YOLO spending. You only live once.
You used to justify spending money on immediate, joyful things because buying a house feels impossible anyway.
Exactly. Prioritizing the present. You hear, treat yourself, which evolves from a TV joke into a genuine coping mechanism.
Or buying a wildly expensive jacket and ironically saying it's an investment, just mocking the corporate language of their parents.
But the biggest linguistic shift is the normalization of the struggle. Younger people will openly state, I'm broke, but that's okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting to me. When someone says, I'm broke, but that's okay, is that financial defeatism? Have they just surrendered? Or is it a healthy rejection of the obsession with wealth?
The data suggests it is a radical rejection. It's a total paradigm shift. Now, the ultimate aspiration isn't the corner office, it's the soft life.
The soft life. It sounds so peaceful.
It's the explicit antithesis of the hustle. A soft life means deliberately prioritizing comfort, mental health, and boundaries over grinding yourself to dust for a paycheck.
It's completely redefining financial freedom. For older generations, financial freedom meant being rich. For this generation, it just means reaching a baseline where you exist peacefully without working 80 hours a week.
They're changing the words to dismantle the game.
Wow. Okay, we have covered an immense amount of ground today, but before we wrap up, let's do a quick drill to lock this vocabulary in for you listening. I'll give a situation, and you give me the right phrase. 4 rounds. Ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Round 1. You and your friends are at a restaurant, and you want everyone to pay for exactly what they ordered.
Let's go Dutch.
Perfect. Round 2. You have a job that makes you miserable, but you won't leave because the salary is just too good to walk away from.
You are wearing golden handcuffs.
Spot on. Round 3. You are just barely covering your basic expenses every month with absolutely zero margin for error.
You are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes, exactly. And round 4. You owe your friend money for movie tickets, and you want to send it to them instantly using your phone.
I just say, can you Venmo me? Or I'll Venmo you.
Nailed it. Now, let's quickly review a few of the more technical terms we use today in our vocabulary focus.
Good idea. We mentioned disposable income, which is the money you have left over to spend or save after all your essential bills and taxes are paid.
Right, and net worth, which is the total value of everything you own minus everything you owe.
We also talked about being in the red versus in the black. In the red means a negative bank balance, you're losing money. In the black means positive, you're doing well.
And sunk cost, money or time you've already spent and cannot recover, so it shouldn't dictate your future decisions.
And finally, please remember the difference between frugal and cheap. Frugal is being a smart, strategic saver. Cheap is being stingy and violating social expectations when you have the means to participate.
Such an important distinction. Well, for you listening, we've journeyed from the raw anxiety of living paycheck to paycheck all the way to the frictionless choreography of Venmo. We unpacked how the pressure of the hustle forces the corporate bleed over of sunk costs and ROI, and we explored how a new generation is rejecting that stress for a soft life.
These aren't just simple idioms, right? They are a secret map. If you grasp why asking a salary is an interrogation, but announcing you are strapped is a boundary, you hold the keys to understanding American economic psychology.
Which brings us to the end of our deep dive. But we want to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
Yeah, we've seen how our everyday vocabulary is completely tethered to our current economic realities. But what happens if the system fundamentally changes?
What do you mean?
Well, if concepts like universal basic income were implemented globally, guaranteeing survival without the hustle, or if physical cash disappeared entirely, would the language of being flat broke or making bank vanish with it? Or are these anxieties so baked into human nature that we would just invent new metaphors to measure our status? It makes you wonder how much of our core personality is just economics in disguise.
Is my personality just an economic byproduct? That is genuinely going to keep me up at night. But before we spiral into an existential crisis, we want to hear from you.
Yes, think about your own culture.
What's your favorite money phrase in English? Or even better, a money saying from your culture that just does not translate well. Let us know in the comments.
I love hearing those untranslatable phrases.
Me too.
Yep.
Well, if you're new here, subscribe so you don't miss next week's deep dive. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
See you next time.